And
Hey, Daddy, this is the man of the champions, Bill Fonzie Alfonso, giving a shout out to
Something else.
something else, Daddy.
This is Nicola Roberts, Great Warrior Wolf, and you are listening to Something Else.
I'm Tony Cini, and you're listening to Something Else.
Hey everybody, it's Rich Palladino, the voice of New England, and you are listening to Something Else with Arya.
welcome to episode number 247 of Something Else. Feast your hair holes in this week's episode as we take a look at Mid-South Wrestling and World Class Championship Wrestling from November 17th, 1984. My name is Arya, and joining me, as always, is the wherever to my whatever. It's Trae. Trae, how the hell you doing today?
Whatever. I'm here.
It's this enthusiasm. It's this, unbridled enthusiasm that makes people listen to these shows week after week.
Look.
Speaking of this week's shows, before we dive too far into this and go violently off topic, as we're wont to do, I just want to quickly do a schedule update for this week. Obviously, we're doing today's show. Obviously. Tomorrow we'll be back. Trey and I'll be here with TNA. And there is no Thursday show this week due to the Thanksgiving holiday because, yes, we don't have a big listenership, but the vast majority of y'all are in the U.S., and thus it's probably a good idea to take that day off. So Trey and I will be back to discuss the debut of the Gangstas next week.
What are you
Although I
doing
gotta say,
for?
having the Gangstas debut on Thanksgiving would be a very interesting episode to do.
That will be terrific. What are you doing for Thanksgiving? Anything?
Nothing planned. For reasons that aren't just limited to my inability to get either the day before or the day after off work. I am going to rock out with nothing out, eat some food, and then probably go see a movie or two that day.
We had just kind of decided we weren't doing anything, and then I saw that HEB, which is like the big grocery store chain here in most of Texas, they had like if you buy a spiral ham, you get a 12-pound turkey for free, and I'm like, at that point, it's fucking irresponsible not to, because that's like.
I mean, I want to come down and get my spiral ham and a free turkey.
Yeah, well, come join us if you can teleport real quick.
Join us. That's I can't get the time to drive 7 hours to see my brother. Instead I'm gonna drive 20 or so hours to come see you.
That's why I said teleport.
Although to be fair, I'd probably have more fun seeing you at this point. So there's that. So for those of you who did not listen to the AEW Full Gear post-show press conference on Saturday, I am completely redeemed as the greatest pro wrestling reporter of all time. No MVP around to call me and or Dave a nerd. Although I got no respect from MVP last year, and then this year I got no respect from my own website. I'm not going to spoil anything for you. If you know what happens, fine, but I'm not going to be the one to tell you. But I got to talk to a few of the winners during the show, or not during the show, but during the press conference. And then at the end, when TK was taking questions from everyone and their mom, I had a question for him regarding the rumors about WBD being sold, and it coming out this past week that specifically the big companies coming after them are companies that are already have WWE television deals. And so I asked him if he was worried at all, and he was shaking his head before I finished my thought. But F4WOnline.com reports that someone asked Tony about this.
At least you're
Hi,
someone.
everyone. I'm someone. At least I'm not Jake something.
Yeah.
I should alert the world in case you can't tell. It is that time of year where I'm coming down with my annual cold. And so, hey, at least we have a co-host. So when I have to go on mute so I can violently hack up a lung, Trey's here to fill in for me and fill in all the gaps.
Oh, great.
Um, so some New Japan news this week. Um, Now, this got reported this week, but I could swear this was news already, like months, if not year ago. Um, as for the longest time, New Japan contracts always ran 1 year from January to January, and they'd renegotiate every January. And obviously, this would come back to bite them in the ass in spurts. Like when AJ Nakamura and the Good Brothers left the 1 year, like when the entire Elite left the 1 year, and like, Osprey did a couple of years ago. It's like you just knew that if you were, you know, a major wrestling company and you wanted to sign up some New Japan guys, January was your time to make an offer. And it came out this week that not all New Japan contracts are expiring in January. So that's
Fascinating.
different. Yes.
Fascinating.
Trey's so fascinated by all this show today. Hey, Wrestle Kingdom sold out to the point that they're opening up more seats and perhaps even having a smaller set this year.
Hmm.
Oh Lord. We, let's hope we're not dragging a show to Trey this week. So you know, before we get Trey too excitable, let's just go to the intro Mid South. Mid South, November 14th. Wow, November 14th. November 17th, 1984, from the Irish McNeil Boys Club in Shreveport, Louisiana. Let's go to JR and Joel with this week's intro.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the #1 wrestling program in the country, Mid-South Wrestling. My name is Jim Ross, and along with Joel Watts, we'll be calling the action today, and it is a tremendous wrestling event. You'll see Ted DiBiase square off against Magnum TA. You're going to see Master G go against Sheik Hercules Hernandez. The Rock and Roll Express is here, along with Hector and Chavo Guerrero. And Joel, we've got a lot more to tell them about.
No kidding, Jim. We've got two television main events that are just awesome. We've got Hacksaw Jim Duggan against Steve Dr. Death Williams in a football helmet match. And we also have superstar Bill Dundee taking on Adrian for the television title.
And ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a great hour, no doubt about it. Several top matches. And you know, matchmaker Grizzly Smith always does a super job. But we're going to let you give Grizzly Smith just a little bit of help in our Dream Match contest. And here is some information about how you can enter the Dream Match.
So I like that they keep calling this the Dream Match contest. Pretty much any contest in the history of contests, if you win, you get a prize. The prize, if you win the Dream Match contest, is that your match will happen on television.
What better prize could there be?
That's true. Personally, I think they're trying to replace Grizzly Smith, and they're looking for somebody who's good enough to fill in.
It's not that hard to find somebody better than Grizzly Smith.
To be fair, he's quite the matchmaker. Although you wonder if that was a little tongue in cheek, calling him a matchmaker. Anyway, we have a lot of big matches this week. We're gonna have Ted DiBiase versus Magnum TA, Jim Duggan versus Dr. Death in a football helmet match, and Adrian versus Bill Dundee for the TV title.
Yeah. Big, it's so big, they had to put a main event on first.
Yes. So they showed the commercial for the Dream Match. It's not driving me as crazy as the Rock and Roll Express video contest or when a date with the Rock and Roll Express contest is driving me. But we'll see how much longer we have to see this damn video.
Well, yeah,
Um,
maybe it won't be too much longer.
so Boyd Pierce is now going to talk to Buddy Landell, and he has some interesting comments, to say the least. It would be helpful to God. Oh, Jesus Christ, I pressed mute. I am so smart. I am so smart. SMRT. I mean, SMART.
Ladies and gentlemen, just prior to going on the air today, Boyd Pierce had some comments with Nature Boy Buddy Landell. They were very interesting, to say the least. Let's hear what he had to say.
Wrestling fans, Nature Boy Buddy Landell is in the ring, informs me that he has the important message for all of us, especially one person to hear.
Boyd Pierce, everybody saw Butch Reed last week on TV come out here and put his hands on me. That's something that nobody, I said, and I mean nobody does, is put their hands on the Nature Boy. I come out here offering him something, an opportunity of a lifetime, and he turns it down. Now, I'm going to have to do something that I didn't want to ever have to do, and that's to publicly embarrass him on TV. On TV today, that will get done. Butch, I'm washing my hands of you, boy, and I'm publicly embarrassing you on TV today.
Nature Boy Buddy Landell.
You know, nobody, and Buddy means nobody puts their hands on Buddy Landell.
No,
And,
Buddy Landell's not a geek.
Nope. He's not a bum either, so that's why Ernie Ladd seeks him out. Now, what was I thinking? I think, we've talked about our temporal time machine. I think it's safe to say that, Buddy Landell used that temporal ham radio to go into the future to see The Rock. And, with his mannerisms, the way he does the elbow at the end, he doesn't do the people's elbow, but he does do the corkscrew elbow. But I think it's safe to say Buddy Landell was a huge fan of The Rock.
Yeah, naturally.
Yes. I mean, everybody else is. I don't see why Buddy wouldn't be.
Biggest action star in the world.
All right, so we go to the ring for our first match. It is Ted DiBiase with Mr. Mid-South against Magnum TA. Now, during the match, oh, by the way, in case you didn't join us last week, I don't know what the hell's wrong with you, but in case you didn't join us last week, Mr. Mid-South is the name that General Skandar Akbar prefers to be called. And
yes.
If we do nothing on this show but, use people's preferred names.
Yes, Mr. Mid-South, the manager of Max.
Yes, over on the other network. So during the match, Joel was distracted by Butch Reed leaving the Irish McNeil Boys Club. Joel, the announcers aren't supposed to be easily distracted. So this was a good match. It was just long enough to make me want to see more. And I began writing. The problem is that while I don't know the finish, I was confident it was going to be some sort of DQ or an inconclusive finish. And as the match goes on here, they did an early version of the Yay Boo spot. Ernie Ladd, the magnanimous champion that he is, came out and was like, you know what? I know Magnum TA is the former champion. He's a big fan of having the belt. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to show Magnum TA the belt. Like, look how nice the belt is. I know you miss it, so I'm just going to
motivate him. To motivate him to victory so he can get another title shot.
Exactly. And while Magnum TA was distracted by the prettiness of that title belt, Ted DiBiase pulled the brass knucks out of his tights and knocked TA the fuck out for the win, which, while not a conclusive finish, was more of a finish than I was expecting.
It is a handsome belt. It's easy to get distracted by.
Indeed. It's big, it's handsome, it's not as gaudy, as the Crown Jewel title, even though it is a very large championship belt.
Yeah.
All right. So we mentioned that Butch Reed had left the arena. Now you might think, well, maybe he was going for his bags, maybe he needed some air or something. Maybe he was going to take a jog around the arena to warm up or something. Well, JR is now going to talk about what happened here and what's going on with Butch Reed.
Ladies and gentlemen, as Joel Watson and I mentioned in the first match, we saw Hacksaw Butch Reed leave the building in a big hurry with a very disturbed look on his face. He was scheduled to go against Nature Boy Buddy Landell. We understand from referee Carl Fergie and from matchmaker Grizzly Smith that Hacksaw Butch Reed has received an emergency phone call. His brother, a construction worker, was involved in a serious accident. His brother's been hospitalized in critical condition. I understand that, of course, Joel Watts over there is telling Boyd Pierce exactly what is going on. And now we'll go with Boyd into the ring, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure he'll want to explain to Buddy Landell exactly what's going on.
Buddy Landell, I'll have to be the first and probably the only one to inform you. Hacksaw Butch Reed was here. His family finally caught up with him here to television, informed him they've been trying to get a hold of him, that his brother suffered a severe injury on a construction site. He is in critical condition in the hospital, and Butch Reed left this building to be with him in his time of need.
My eyes are full of tears. I guess that's the only excuse he could come up with. He just knew that the Nature Boy would waste him right here in the middle of the ring. Now get somebody out here. Where's Butch Reed at? He knew that I was challenging him. He knew that I was going to dust him today here on national TV and get a reputation and a name for myself. I want him down here now. His brother didn't get hurt. He's making excuses. Like everybody else makes excuses when they got to go up against the Nature Boy. What's that outhouse Brown doing up here? What are you doing up here, boy?
Y'all know this sucker think he had an easy night off because Butch Reed left. Well, let me tell you something right now, man. You've been going all over the Mid-South, and we need to get it on right here tonight. You take on me tonight. The other brick house left, but the other brick house is here right now. So you come on with it.
As your match, 1 fall, 10-minute time limit, Buddy Landell against Brickhouse Brown.
So why is referee Carl Fergie allowed to approve matches?
Because he's a king.
Great.
It's a kingly prerogative.
Maybe he should be trying to enter the rematch contest.
Maybe he's. I bet he sent in a bunch of postcards. I bet he sent in. I bet he sent in 100 postcards. Say King Carl Fergie versus Ernie Ladd for the North American Championship.
I bet he's. I was gonna say I bet he stacked the ballot to put in Buddy Landell versus Brickhouse Brown.
Outhouse Brown.
You know, yeah, about good old Outhouse Brown here. So Carl Fergie's busy, or he's a stooge perhaps, because Carl Fergie reports that Butch Reed got a phone call, and Butch Reed's brother was in a very serious construction accident and is now in the hospital. Now, of course, they do not say what this very serious construction accident is. I would assume it has something to do with machinery. So I'm going to assume that Butch Reed is on his way to the hospital to inspire his brother to get out of the hospital bed and go train so he can go kick that machinery's ass.
When I was a kid, my dad worked construction. And when I was about 10 or 11, he was the wood beam that he was standing on broke and he fell and hit his head. And then he ended up it caused a neurological issue. He ended up having a seizure a few days later.
I'm so sorry.
I mean, this was fucking almost 30 years ago.
I mean, still sucks.
He's fine. He's still kicking.
So we're informed here that, Butch Reed, got in his car and left to go to the airport. And it's important to remember this sequence of events. He received a phone call and then got in his car and left to go to the airport. Brickhouse is there? Go ahead.
Okay, so if you watch something like Seinfeld, have a lot of plots are they would be resolved immediately if anybody had a cell phone. And this was the opposite. The only way that this made sense is if Butch Reed has a temporal cell phone, maybe from the same shop that we got our temporal ham radio.
We'll get to the payoff of this angle in a little bit here.
By the way,
Um,
did you immediately know what this angle was? Like the second that they mentioned Butch Reed leaving the building looking concerned.
I mean, I didn't think they were going to pay it off later in this episode, but I mean, I think most people realized what it was.
Yeah, I thought they might have paid it off like next week at the latest, but no, it was.
Yeah, and it it's a ridiculous payoff. We'll just say that. And I'll bitch about it in about 20 minutes. Anyway, so since one black guy left, the next black guy ready in the back stepped up. Brickhouse Brown versus Buddy Landell. Brown did look good here, but Landell won clean with his corkscrew elbow drop. So Buddy Landell picks up a win here on Mid-South Television. He doesn't have many of those, at least in a singles capacity.
This felt like Brickhouse Brown is on the way out of the territory situation.
I think he is. I didn't look, but I don't think he's here much longer.
He kind of looked like a dipshit.
That is the story of the day, I think. We have a lot of dipshit baby faces on both shows.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So Ted DiBiase, who just had a match in the opener against former North American champion Magnum TA, is back in the ring, and he's got a challenge. Let's go to Ted DiBiase right now.
Now, wrestling fans, listen.
I know it's supposed to be a football helmet match, but I've got an issue, a challenge right now. I'm going to challenge you, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. You're talking about football helmets. You're living in the past, Duggan. You're living back in your scrapbook. This is professional wrestling, the king of sports. Let me tell you what, Duggan. Why don't you just put that football helmet down and that stick you carry around and come on out here and face me right here now. You told everybody how bad you want me. Come on down here now, Duggan, and I'll beat you up just like I did out there in that parking lot. I know you're up there watching that monitor. So if you got any guts, Duggan, come on down here now.
Did anybody not see where this was going? We talked about the Butch Reed segment Butch Reed the last segment, and I'm like, okay, we knew what was happening, but like it was going to pay off in a while. Did anybody not know what was about to happen when Jim Duggan agreed to come to the ring to fight Ted DiBiase?
Probably somebody who was watching pro wrestling for the first time.
Well, does this qualify Duggan as a dumb babyface?
No, I wouldn't go that far. I
was honestly more surprised that it wasn't immediate. That, they did have a little bit of a match first. It wasn't, a 30-minute Matt Classic, but they went toe to toe for like a minute or two until Dr. Death ran out in full football uniform, by the way, along with Sheik Hercules Hernandez. Williams gets down to a 3-point stance. It gave Duggan a tackle, which more or less ended up being a back body drop. And I thought Duggan took a fantastic bump for that.
Yeah, this was pretty fun while it lasted.
Yeah. And of course the key is Duggan was challenged to leave his stick in the back, leave his helmet in the back, come out and fight like a man. And he was the lamb that led himself into slaughter. Now,
yeah.
This is Pro Wrestling 101 when a babyface is getting beaten down by a gang. First, the Job Squad runs out. And I noticed that Shawn Michaels took a very nice bump for Doc. There might be a future for that kid after all.
Maybe.
And then, once the Job Squad was taken care of, Master G, the Rock and Roll Express, Bill Dundee, and Brickhouse Brown made Save 2.0. why do the baby faces do this? It's like, oh no, our friend needs help. Let's send the guys who get their asses kicked every week first to see if they can help the situation instead.
Well, you wanna give those guys a chance to make an impression. They're all trying to break out of the pack.
They made an impression on the concrete floor when they each got disposed out of the ring.
Uh-huh.
And I wrote, we're never going to get that football match, are we?
It doesn't seem like it, does it?
We might get the popular little midget girls wrestling before we get that football helmet match. And it's funny because, like, we never did have anybody come out to try to challenge Doc for his helmet. He's like, I challenge anybody to come out here and try to take my helmet. And Mid-South may be a bunch of tough guys, but there aren't no fools apparently in that locker room.
Apparently.
So, as we mentioned last week, they are setting up, basically the entire heel locker room being in one mega stable to go against the entire babyface locker room.
Well, something at least.
Yeah, it's something else. We must tell you that. And it's a very Mid-South thing to do, is to just link all the feuds together somehow. And so you can do random ass matches and be like, well, this kind of makes sense because so and so's friends with this guy and that guy's feuding with person B and yada yada yada. And it makes a sometimes meaningless match on television mean something.
Yeah, yeah.
So Sheik Hercules Hernandez and Mr. Mid-South walked to the back so they could turn around and walk right back out. It was Sheik Hercules Hernandez with Mr. Mid-South versus Master G. And I had to laugh because, as we've noted, on Mid-South graphics, for whatever reason, and this is the thing they've always done, if your name is a gimmick name, they will always put it in quotations. Like Junkyard Dog was in quotations. Andre the Giant was in quotations. Up until this week, Hercules was always in quotations. However, now that he's a Sheik, Hercules has graduated to his real name, and Sheik is now in quotations.
Maybe he had his name legally changed.
That's true. I mean, it could be like, or it could be like Chauncey that, we've been calling him Bill Irwin for so long that everyone forgets his real name is Chauncey. Unless you're Gary Hart, the only person who remembers his name's Chauncey. I wrote that now that Butch Reed is a babyface, we no longer need a second black guy getting pushed. This was not a burial or anything, just a straight up win for Whitey. Herc worked over the knee the whole match, so G, being the genius that he is, used an atomic drop on the injured knee, and Herc slapped on the single leg crab. G allegedly didn't quit, but Carl Fergie double-crossed him. It was the Shreveport screw job.
No. That's the referee being a professional and protecting the wrestler from himself, but he was clearly in no fit condition to continue.
Master G screwed Master G. And
nobody screwed anybody. Well, he screwed himself when he did the atomic drop.
I do. Well, I guess Carl Fergie, trained pro wrestler. He had a decent career as a wrestler, so he would know better than you or I would. I just thought it was suspect that Herc put on the single leg crab, and Carl Fergie did not waste a lot of time waiting to call that bell.
Well, the man's clearly his knee is in danger of being, not a knee anymore.
Herc did try to kick his leg out of his leg, I guess.
That's already a problem. I mean, I don't know about you, but ever since I got above 30, sometimes my knee will just stop being a knee for a second.
Tap on wood. I haven't had that yet. Tap on wood. By the way, do you remember what the first referee stoppage you ever saw was?
Uh, not offhand, no.
For me, it was probably Brett and Owen versus the Quebecers at the Royal Rumble when Owen turned heel. I was thinking it was when Flair beat Savage for the title, but that wasn't a referee stoppage. That was Savage passing out from the figure four and getting pinned.
Yeah, the first one that I remember was like when Brock Lesnar came in and started. He was like winning by referee stop for a while, but surely I saw something the 2 years before that.
I I I, I don't know how true this was because I don't remember seeing it officially reported, but I saw somebody, may have been Scott Keith, made this claim, and Scott Keith, is a interesting writer. We'll say that. Said that that was supposed to be Brock's gimmick, was that he wouldn't have a finish. He just beat everybody via referee stoppage. And Hunter the Barbarian ixnayed that as soon as possible.
Of course he did. I believe that
Now again,
completely. I know Scott
I,
Keith is Scott Keith. I believe that completely.
I do believe it completely because it does seem like something he would do. But again, I was like, he's the only person I ever saw report that. So I do. It sounds believable, but I also question it. You know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Master G, this isn't it for him, but he's on his way out the door, as we've noted. I don't know why. I thought that he does this run and then comes back after his WWF run. But as we noted last week, the week before, he does not. He leaves after the WWF. He goes to world class.
Oh joy.
Yeah. Like literally, I thought that he was Butch Reed's replacement as the next top black guy. But no, he was the interim black guy.
The interim black guy. Okay. Okay, I know I said that I wanted Outhouse Brown to be the episode title, but I also like interim black guy.
Oh God, he's not the linear black guy. He's the interim black guy. Okay. Um, let's see. What is next as I scroll back down? Um, yeah, Hercules won. Any other thoughts about this match?
Yeah, it was a big clovering brawl, and then he took his own knee out of his knee, and then that was it.
Yep. Do not give people the atomic drop to your injured knee. It just makes common sense.
Okay, I don't know what the fuck I did. I slipped somewhere, and now when I right click, it makes a yellow circle, and when I left kicks, it makes a blue circle, and I cannot figure out how to turn it off. I don't know how the fuck I turned it on.
What do you use to take notes? I just use Google Doc.
No, this is a Windows thing.
Oh, so it's not even, a doc thing.
No.
I have no idea. I do not have that issue. Uh, maybe display settings or maybe personalize.
Yeah,
Set value.
I'm trying to figure out as we go here.
Well, we go to the ring for our next match, which is the Rock and Roll Express versus Don't Call Me Tim Horton and Thomas Poison Ivy. We are informed that our friends from Troop 145 are here in attendance and that Morton is lightning quick. Does that make Ricky Morton White Lightning?
Sure.
I'm sorry, Trey. That reference to Tim Horner was shameless. That is the silence of shame right there. Um, at this point, apparently Butch Reed's brother is okay because he is already back from the hospital, and then Morton pinned Ivy with a double drop kick.
I wrote, I guess, Rock and Roll win in 1 or 2 minutes with a double drop kick, and indeed they did.
Yes. Over Thomas Ivy. Um, now, let's go to after the commercial. We come back, and JR and Joel are with Butch Reed. who, as a response to everything going on with him today.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hacksaw Butch Reed was scheduled to wrestle Nature Boy Buddy Landell here today. You saw Hacksaw, we told you about Hacksaw Butch Reed leaving. We understood your brother had a serious accident on a construction site. The phone call got to you and you left, but now you're back. Exactly what's happened?
That's right. I just forfeited my match with that nothing happening sissy, and a bleach blind sissy Buddy Landell. To leave here, Pee Wee Anderson give me a message that my brother had just had a accident on his job, construction job, and he was hurt in critical condition. So I leave out of here to go to the airport. Pee Wee Anderson takes me to the airport. I call my folks at home, and I find out that my brother is alive and he's well, and he's getting along just fine. Ain't nothing wrong with him. So you see, what done went down? I just found out that Hacksaw Duggan had just got hurt. He just got whitewashed clean out the ring a while ago by them three stooges and that camel jockey. Nothing happened to Skandar Akbar. But I tell you what, Duggan, they trying to divide us so they can conquer us. But I tell you one thing, I won't be jabbed no more. I'll be here in your corner from now.
Okay. So, obviously, the versions we have cut out all the commercials. All the local promos, all that shit. We're just going segment to segment to segment here. In real television time, maybe 25 to 30 minutes have passed since Butch Reed left to go to the airport to catch a plane home to go take care of his family after his brother was in an accident. I wanted to remind people of this because, I know it's 2025 and an entire generation plus has grown up with everybody having a cell phone. Like, a cell phone was my gift for graduating high school. And I've been out of high school for, 22 years at this point. And so Butch Reed did not have a cell phone.
Maybe he has a car phone. Car phones existed in the 80s.
Well, here's the problem with that. Okay, fine. But I'm going to debunk that there in a second. But let me just finish what my thought is. I'm not able to find out. Now, there is an airport in Shreveport. However, because the Irish McNeil Boys Club isn't a thing anymore, I'm not able to tell you exactly how far away the airport is from the Irish McNeil Boys Club in Shreveport, Louisiana. However, it is safe to assume that even if Pee Wee Anderson was driving 100 miles per hour to the airport, stuck around to make sure Butch got on a plane, and then drove 100 miles per hour back, that's still quite the stretch to pull that off in the time that has occurred here. With that said, okay, fine. I might even contend they may have had a car phone. Why did he wait for a car phone? He got a phone call in the locker room to tell him that his brother was in an accident.
No.
Why did he call home?
No. He didn't get a phone call. He got told that by Pee Wee Anderson that there was a phone call. The information was relayed to him.
He was told by Carl Fergie.
He said Pee Wee Anderson.
Fine. No, Pee Wee Anderson took him to the airport. Carl Fergie told him there was a phone call. But fine.
The point stands.
Fine. Where was the phone that Carl Fergie got the phone call on? Or are you telling me that Carl Fergie got it at the hotel room or at the hotel before the show and waited until the TV taping began to
Do you think the Irish McNeil Boys Club don't have a fucking phone?
Exactly. Why didn't he call home from the phone in the Irish McNeil Boys Club?
Because he didn't remember the fucking number and he had it written down with his fucking car phone, Arya. Goddamn.
Was it his car phone or was it Pee Wee Anderson's car phone?
What fucking difference does it make?
Because it was Pee Wee Anderson's car phone. Why would he have Butch Reed's family's phone numbers?
Just to fuck with you. This was all done to fuck with you.
I think it's more fucking with you because you had to have known I was going to bring this up and you knew it would piss you off. And so anyway, I call shenanigans on this. Like I would call. Here's the thing, because yeah, it's a 60-minute TV show. I would have called less bullshit had they opened the show and said, before we got going today, Butch Reed got a phone call, or Carl Fergie got a phone call and told Butch Reed about this, and Butch left and is on his way to the airport to go be with his family, and then Butch comes back halfway through the show to be like, "Oh, that motherfucker Buddy Landell, you know, they tricked us so they could take out Jim Duggan." I would accept that.
The fuck ever. I do not care. Why the fuck am I arguing about this?
Because we gotta have a discussion about something. I got a smile on my face. I don't know about you, but I enjoy our little back and forths here.
I can't figure out how to make my fucking mouse stop doing this weird shit.
Did I tell you about the time that I bought a brand new mouse? Now I'm a cheapskate. I'm not going out buying an expensive mouse. I'm just getting a nice cheap one off Amazon. I bought a new mouse. It got delivered. I set it up. I was so happy. And then I spilled a giant cup of iced tea on it. I
Happens.
had to buy a new mouse. All right. So from here we go to our title match, television champion Adrian Street with Miss Linda versus WWE superstar Bill Dundee. Um, Hopefully there is no spousal abuse this week on television.
Huzzah.
Now, I joke that the ribbon on the medal keeps breaking. At this point, I think they've given up because they replaced the ribbon the one week and it immediately broke again. Um, Maybe they learned why the Olympic medals aren't absurdly large. What got in Bill Watts' mind all of a sudden? Like the belts went from being normal size to being giant monstrosities. The TV title medal is, bigger than my head, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe the bigger belt means that you're the real champion. Because remember, well, no, this the WWF title wasn't it that big green thing at this point that Backlund had and Sheik had? Like that was a big ass fucking belt.
Trying to think. I don't know when they switched from the big green to the Hogan 85.
They switched the belt a lot at that during that period. Like
Yeah.
honestly, it wasn't until I think that's why the Winged Eagle is so remembered and loved because the Hogan belt kept changing, and then when they brought in the Winged Eagle, that stuck around for a decade.
Yeah. People just like whatever it was when they were becoming a fan.
I still contend that the current Intercontinental title is not a bad design, and a lot fewer people would hate it if it wasn't for the fact that it replaced the classic Intercontinental title.
I actually prefer the oval Intercontinental title over the quote unquote classic one.
The Rock one. I know he was one of many champions, but he was the first one with that belt.
So because like everybody is still crying about the IWGP fourth belt. I remember when that belt debuted and I was like, what the fuck is that big ugly monstrosity?
I mean, because that's my first IWGP title, so I liked it. I don't dislike. I know we talked about this before. I don't dislike the current IWGP title. It's just different, and I have more of a problem with it being a brand new lineage than I do with it being a new belt. You know what I mean?
I don't fucking care.
Okay then. So, blah 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 blah. So not only was this a good match, but unlike last time these two wrestled, I was not weirdly falling asleep during this match. Um, Street hit a pile driver, and you would think that Dundee has laid down for a pile driver or two in his career. But not only did he get up from the pile driver, he hit a crossbody up the middle rope for the pin and the win. We have a new TV champion, and his name is Bill Dundee.
This was neat. They were fighting dirty. You're like fish hooking and finger banging. Adrian Street knows all kinds of gnarly tricks. He's delightful.
And for the first time, I guess Adrian Street has finally lost the championship. He was a four-time European champion and just kept vacating the belt. And
Does this
here
just make Bill Dundee the linear European champion?
I think it would make him the linear four-time European champion.
Wow.
And we'll see how that belt goes here. But the queen is dead. Long live the new king. I was proud of that line. So I was surprised because I know we mentioned before Agent Street leaves I think in December, but I thought that him losing a TV title I thought was at the end of his run, not near the end.
Well, it's near the end.
Yeah. All right. So we have a new TV champion, and we'll see how many people the Booker puts himself over before dropping the medal. But by the way, Adrian Street, by far our most successful TV champion. You know, we had like 2 title defenses in 6 months beforehand, and we were getting a title defense every other week with Adrian as champion.
Yeah.
All right, so we then go to our final match of the day. It is the highly ranked team from Mexico, Chavo and Hector Guerrero, versus Art Crew and Lee Ramsey. Lee Ramsey was wearing the stars and bars. He and Cruz got into.
No, that is not the stars and bars. That is the Army of Northern Virginia battle flag. The stars and bars is the first Confederate national flag with the stars in the canton and the big fucking bars.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, anywho,
you hit a sensitive spot.
Anywho, Cruz and Ramsey got in some offense before being cut off, and much like how Mil Mascaras didn't understand the rules of the Royal Rumble, Chavo and Hector didn't understand the rules of an American TV enhancement match. Ramsey kicked out at the finish and then fought back afterwards. Makes sense that someone with the Confederate flag on wouldn't accept defeat. If it helps, referee Ronnie West counted to 3, even though Ramsey clearly kicked out.
I thought the Guerreros kicked their ass for fucking up the finish. I thought that was the point.
I thought that like that ECW match with the Pope and Monty Brown versus CM Punk and Chris Benoit, where the referee called it a DQ, and they just kept going afterwards. I thought it was that, where it's like, the referee fucked up the finish, and they just kept going until, their time was pretty much over.
Maybe they're just turning the Guerreros heel.
Possibly. All right, so we're going to finish up the show here by going to the desk, and Magnum TA has something to say.
It's very important to say to all the great wrestling fans listening now.
That's right. I got some things on my mind, some things that are bothering me deep down inside. This one Ernie Ladd and Ted DiBiase, they can't keep their nose out of my business. There's always somebody coming down interfering. Well, what I want is a match right here on television with either one of them, either Ernie for my title or Ted DiBiase. And better yet, what I'd like to do is get Grizzly Smith to sign this match for a cage match. First time ever a cage match right here on television. Me and the big cat for my title or Ted DiBiase. It doesn't matter, but I want a cage because I don't want anybody in or anybody out. I want to get some things settled and get some things straight here in Mid-South once and for all.
Well, those comments, Magnum TA challenging Ernie Ladd or Ted DiBiase. So it would be a first ever Joel Cage match. We can get it signed here next week.
Okay, so Magnum TA wants a cage match on television with either Ernie Ladd or Ted DiBiase. And I know it's not a first, because I'm sure, especially your territories back in the days, they try to pop a TV rating, 1 week. would do it. I think there was like a clip of Big Time Wrestling doing it out of Detroit, but cage matches on TV are not, standard operating procedure.
No.
And so I didn't watch next week's show yet, but I'd believe that we are probably going to have a cage match next week, which should be interesting.
Yeah, suppose.
Yes. Joel was very excited when talking about that, and was decidedly less excited when he talked about how next week would be the return of Terry Taylor, who was a little bitch, a stooge, and a D-Gens. And that 4 weeks where he was out went really quickly. What do you think?
Yeah.
But Terry Taylor will, of course, be back next week. We got to build him up for that Ric Flair match that's coming up at some point.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that's till June, though. But yeah.
Best match of Terry Taylor's career.
I always love Terry Taylor talks about it on the Mid-South DVD that we put out. That Flair showed up drunk off his ass, not drunk off his ass, but hungover, and Terry Taylor was pissed off because this is the biggest match of Terry Taylor's career, and Flair isn't taking it seriously. And then he goes out to the ring in a pissy mood, and out walks Ric Flair, and Ric Flair is being Ric Flair. Second the light comes on, he's Ric Flair, and it's okay then.
Mm-hmm. That Ric Flair was a resilient fellow.
Ric Flair was quite good at professional wrestling. I think we've established that here on the show. And if not, perhaps we need to further establish it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if Adrian Street wasn't already in the Something Else Hall of Something Else that he needs to be inducted, but we actually inducted he and Miss Linda back on October 13th, 2025 for Just Imagine What They Can Do to Us.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh Lord. All right. So we're gonna go next door now to World Class Championship Wrestling for what is essentially a recap show. There is some stuff that's new to us, and we're going to talk about a bit of it here. But this is essentially, not essentially, this is the go-home show to the Thanksgiving Star Wars show. And I don't want to say they threw in the towel, but the point of this show was to build up the main matches at the Thanksgiving Star Wars show and not to have a good wrestling show here on TV. But to kick things off, let's go to Bill Mercer to introduce this week's show.
Welcome to World Class Championship Wrestling from the world-famed Sportatorium in downtown Dallas, Texas. I'm Bill Mercer. Great to have you with us, and we've got a tremendous main event. The tag team match featuring Kerry and Mike Von Erich against Killer Khan and the Missing Link. And we're bringing you up to date on all the excitement of those feuds that feature Stella Mae French and Andrea the Lady Giant, Killer Khan and Terry Gordy, and that big one right now, Kevin Von Erich and Chris Adams. And we'll have lots more for you here on World Class Championship Wrestling. And we'll be back with Stella Mae French and Andrea the Lady Giant next on World Class Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, so, here are my notes. Kerry and Mike versus Khan and Max, and we'll bring you up to date with all the feuds in World Class. Sounds like a lot of fast forwarding today.
Yeah.
And there was, as you can tell by the sheer excitement in the voice of my co-host over there.
Yeah.
Now, I did have to laugh at something because they came back to the arena for Mercer to pitch it to the Cotton Bowl match with the mixed tag match. And Mercer legitimately said, here's the way they climaxed while talking about Stella Mae and Nicola. I don't know about you, but I don't want to think about Stella Mae especially climaxing.
Why?
Well, everyone's attractive to somebody. Stella Mae is not attractive to me.
Okay.
All right. So we fast forwarded through the Cotton Bowl, and now we go to Fort Worth for a Stella Mae promo. And if we didn't think Stella Mae jumped the shark before now, that shark is flying in at Stella Mae right now.
The Cotton Bowl Saturday.
Oh, great. Did you see Val?
Yes.
Oh, hey, man, she came in out of the sky. You wouldn't believe it. It was the greatest thing. It was. But the best thing out of the whole thing was when I had that Lady Giant down. Gino's, wherever he dug. Wasn't it? It was great. It was just spectacular. I loved it all.
And the ecstasy in the faces of the crowd when the helicopter came over and all was something to see.
I know. Val really hated to leave. She really did. She was crying and everything else. She went back to Florida, but as we promised, she'd be in my corner. And you couldn't ask for a better thing than the helicopter, I don't think.
But she did have to go back to Florida.
Yeah, she's back in Florida right now.
Not very happy about that, I know.
No, she's calling me almost 3 or 4 times a day wanting to come back and everything else, and we're talking about things, but not, nothing settled or anything else.
Well, that's certainly something that we might be able to see in the future then, is the return of sunshine. Well, Gino Hernandez has arrived, and I don't know what he wants.
You were beaten. She was beaten fair and square.
So remember when Stella Mae French debuted, and I said I wanted her to be the world champion, Trey?
Yeah, no, but I believe you.
I no longer want that.
Okay.
This was the true jumping the shark moment for Stella Mae, even more than her horrendous wrestling at the Cotton Bowl. This was just one. This was an older lady cutting a promo, and not a very good one at all.
She was like a trained wrestler. How the fuck is she so terrible?
I mean, there's a reason that nobody knew who the hell she was. This wasn't even like bringing in Ricky Vaughn and saying that he's a Von Erich when everyone knew he wasn't.
I mean, just like you wouldn't think anybody who was like trained and had a career could be that goddamn dreadful.
I mean, I don't know if she was one of Moolah's girls, but I mean, Moolah's girls were not trained to be good pro wrestlers. And so it is possible that was where she came from.
Yeah.
Now, Nicola and Gino, as you heard, ran in to attack. Nicola gave Stella Mae a DDT and began cutting her hair. And I had to laugh because referee Ricky Hazard, took his fucking time walking to the ring to break it up. And I mean, this angle's seen a lot of referees being yeeted all over the place. So I mean, hey, if I'm one of the referees and I got to go break it up, you know what, bitch, you can help yourself here for a little bit.
Maybe he didn't like her hair either.
Now it makes me think: are they building to a hair versus hair match?
With what fucking hair now?
Well, I mean, she wasn't shaved bald.
I mean, they fucked her shit up bad.
Yeah. But why do I remember? Maybe I'm just overthinking this. Like, when she's with Tully at first, doesn't she have like really fucked up hair?
I do not remember. More fucked up than it is now?
Yeah. To me now, like, I mean, I'm looking at it right now with the Gino promo. It's not great, but it doesn't look terrible. Like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just remembering incorrectly.
You remembering incorrectly? I can't imagine.
I have turned your life upside down, face. So this is one of those times, like because they talk about she sent Sunshine back to Florida. Now, I guess they don't say this, but it is heavily implied that the promo we're about to listen to with Gino Hernandez and Andrea The Lady Giant occurred later on in the same Fort Worth show. I mean, did you get that impression, or was it supposed to be a different?
I didn't get any impression at all, and I assumed that it would have been a subsequent one.
Yeah. Well, let's go to Gino and Nicola with drunk Mark Lawrence in the ring. By the way, to tell you just how great that Stella Mae promo was, when drunk Mark Lawrence has to carry you to a promo, you know we have some fucking problems. But let's go to Gino, who will not be carried by drunk Mark Lawrence.
Well, I guess that pretty well speaks for itself. Stella Mae, for the first time ever, knocked out and left in the ring.
How sweet it is. Like I said before, it's only right that she got what she got had coming to her. And you know, in the Cotton Bowl, all she had to do is bring that idiot with her little knee, Sunshine, riding a helicopter. Well, I'd like to say, we got even.
Well, surprise, Sunshine. Now let's keep tempers, huh?
Let me say right now to you, your aunt had what she had coming to her, and if you know what's good for you, you'll take your little rear end there and go back to Florida where you belong.
You just hold on just 1 minute, Mr. Hernandez. You've made a big mistake. As a matter of fact, you've made 2 big mistakes, and I'll tell you why. Because number 1, what you did to my Aunt Stella Mae, she will never forget. Do you understand me? She is mad. Number 2, now you have me to contend with.
What do you think you're gonna do about you?
Okay, I don't know why I thought they said something else at that point. So, Sunshine, who in the prior promo, which I'm hoping had to be on a different week, just for this, we were informed she's back in Florida. Well, she's already back in Texas because she came out and is now going to get revenge for her Aunt Stella Mae, who was here getting revenge for her.
It's just a never-ending cycle of revenge and retaliation.
One of these years, we'll find out what exactly did Gino Hernandez and or Jimmy Garvin do to Sunshine to make her maybe go to a mental institution and maybe run away to Florida.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, God. So Sunshine sprays hairspray, or at least I'm assuming it was hairspray, into Gino's eyes. And so Nicola, seeing this, ran after Sunshine and got the same treatment. Was Nicola under the impression that there was no more hairspray left in the can?
Maybe.
Okay. But by the way, do you think Nicola Roberts is related to Jake the Snake Roberts?
I think they're related by marriage.
Well, I just mean in the we don't actually know that because we never know that Jake Roberts and Sam Houston are brothers.
I know that.
But I just mean, you know,
I saw a whole episode of Dark Side. I know that. I saw a whole episode of Dark Side of the Ring about it.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it's never been even touched upon that Nicola and Jake share the same last name.
It's a pretty common name.
That is true. That is true. Maybe one of them could change their last name to Storm. You know, Jake the Snake Storm.
That'd be badass.
That's one of those names too. Like, you know, we've talked about wrestling names that are so real that it's like, how is this a gimmick name? Like, where did Aurelian Smith come up with the name Jake Roberts? You know, like, it's such a plain name that you don't even question that's his real name.
Yeah.
So that was the continuation of the Nicola, Sunshine, Stella Mae, Jimmy Garvin, well, not even Jimmy Garvin anymore, Gino Hernandez feud. And from here we go back to the Cotton Bowl for, you know, an unseen event, unseen to us anyway. It was an arm wrestling match. An arm wrestling match, I say, between Kerry Von Erich and Mr. Beef himself, Butch Reed, whose brother had not yet had a construction accident. Now, Rick Hazard, who is not having a great day, he stood with his back to the hard camera at the beginning of this, so they had to shoot around him in order to see the table. Mercer pitched to this and said, "We'll watch it in all its excitement." He was not lying. This may be the longest worked arm wrestling match ever. And in fact, I'm pretty sure it's the longest shoot arm wrestling match, too. Harry appeared to win. Butch was not happy, screaming that the table sucks. And I wrote that apparently this was not just an arm wrestling match, but a best 2 out of 3 falls arm wrestling match. Or maybe not, because there was some confusion here. Butch at one point was claiming that he accidentally kicked the table at the finish, so that's why he lost. So either way, either we have a second fall or a continuation of the first and only fall. Kerry was on the verge of winning again when Reed kicked out the table, this time obviously on purpose, and Kerry was given the win via referee decision and or disqualification. Is there an arm wrestling version of cage match that we can look up the results of to get the official decision of this arm wrestling match?
Arm wrestling angles are always so fucking boring.
Do you remember when WCW did the Jesse Ventura arm wrestling tournament?
Yes.
And did it like 2 years in a row, too. I mean, I guess you can't have an annual competition if you don't do it twice.
The only time that arm wrestling has ever been interesting to watch was Over the Top.
I was going to say, if you didn't say Over the Top, I was going to be very upset. This was a bad week for Butch Reed. You know, his brother, and now they played him losing arm wrestling to Kerry.
Yeah, rough time for Butch.
Has there ever been an arm wrestling match in wrestling that didn't end more or less the same exact way?
I don't think so. That's why they're all fucking boring.
It's like how every contract signing angle would, devolve into violence. But do you remember? I don't remember who came out, but wasn't there a contract signing with like Triple H and Batista where they signed a contract, somebody comes out to talk, and Triple H turns over the table where he has a sledgehammer taped underneath it?
I don't remember that. It's fantastic.
Maybe it wasn't Batista, but I remember that. I'm like, okay, like we're not even pretending at this point.
Nah.
So from here we get a recap of Terry Gordy versus Killer Khan, starting with the famous promo from outside of a van. And they showed the Mike Von Erich Chauncey match that got stopped so we could do Terry Gordy versus Killer Khan the one week. And then sadly we went back to Mike versus Chauncey afterwards. But was it Chauncey or was it Scott that the match was with?
I think it was Bill.
All right. So we keep fast forwarding. We get a recap of Chris Adams' heel turn. And then we go to a studio where Kevin Von Erich has something to say.
Invited Kevin Von Erich to come down. I wanted to show him and you the incident when Chris Adams struck him from behind with a chair at the Cotton Bowl Star Wars. Kevin, I'm very happy to have you here. I know there was some question whether you would be able to come down.
A lot of question. If I'm going to come back, if I'm ready, well, let me just assure you and everybody else listening, I am ready, I am back. Man, look what he did to my head. Look at that.
Oh, that's a mean,
severe concussion
thing there, yeah.
Bill, I'll tell you what, Chris Adams is going to leave the ring the same way that I left that ring. Do you know how degrading it is to an athlete to be carried from the field? In all my years of playing ball, I've been hurt and I've been down, but I've always gotten back up. One time a man had to help me off the field, but I have never been carried off the field in my life. That's the most degrading thing to an athlete, and I assure you, I promise you, Chris Adams is going to feel what I felt.
Let me show you, and let's look at this tape.
No, I'm tired of looking at that tape. I've had enough. I'm on my way.
All right.
So I really like this promo. It was 1 minute 8 seconds. Kevin is out for fucking revenge, and he's promised that Chris Adams is going to leave the same way he left.
Most effective talking Kevin has done.
Yeah. Here's the only problem I have with it. And it's not even really much of a problem. It's too good of a promo for this early in the feud. Like, it's world class, so we know this feud is not going to end anytime soon because they milk it for every dollar they can. This is a end of the feud promo. This is you fucked me up last year at the Cotton Bowl, and this year you were going to go out in the back of that ambulance. I'm going to beat the fuck out of you, Chris Adams. And to me, it just feels too early for this type of promo. But I mean, it was a hot angle, and if you're going to come back with it at Thanksgiving Star Wars already, you had to do something. But I don't know. I think it would have even been better off even without the promo. The promo, like I said, was great, but just me nitpicking, I think it's too soon for this vowing ultimate revenge promo.
This is you nitpicking.
I get it. Because it's to me, I'm just thinking, where do we go in 3 weeks?
Arya, the nit is picked.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have anything else to say about this promo?
No.
Okay. So we then go to the ring for our first, last, and only match on this week's episode of World Class. It is Kevin and Mike Von Erich versus Max and Killer Khan with Mr. Mid-South in their corner. It was supposed to be Kevin, but of course, he's got his ass kicked by Chris Adams last week. He's going to be out of action until next week. They announced this match had a 45-minute time limit. There were less than 6 minutes left in the show when the bell rang. So, in case the heel team didn't tip you off that this was not going to be a lengthy match, the time left on the show was the tip-off. Now, oh my God. We then get the biggest geek moment in the history of world-class championship wrestling. Perhaps the biggest geek moment in the history of this podcast. Chic Donovan comes out in rainbow suspenders and wearing a black t-shirt, black pants. And he announces, do you remember he was injured back in June and he was up in the hospital? He announces that he is back. He's been cleared to wrestle and he's dressed in all black so he can get revenge. Not on Killer Khan, not on Max, not on Terry Gordy, but on Mr. Mid-South himself, General Skandar Akbar. We break down into a wild 6-way fight, and I know, because they told us this for years, that Mr. Mid-South is a former Mid-South North American champion. He is an accomplished wrestler. However, on this show, he's never been anything but a manager. And he kicked Chic Donovan's ass in a fair fight.
Yes, he did.
And that makes Chic Donovan my recommendation for induction into the Something Else Hall of This Suck.
Okay, I see what you mean. We've been going back and forth about this. Okay, the Something Else Hall of fucking geeks.
Yeah, and I mean, because I don't know, the Something Else Hall of This Sucks. It almost doesn't seem appropriate.
Yeah, you're right.
So the Something Else Hall of fucking geeks has its first inductee, Chic Donovan, for getting his ass kicked by manager General Skandar Akbar. Terry Gordy suddenly appeared to beat up Killer Khan for something. The bell definitely rang to start the match, but did not ring to signal any kind of disqualification. And drunk Mark Lawrence announced that in 1 minute and 18 seconds, both sides are thrown out due to absolute mayhem. Trae, that better be how it's listed in your results notebook.
Sure.
This this was, I don't say it was a match. This was barely an angle.
Yeah, it wasn't a match. It really wasn't.
Uh, but Terry Gordy is back. He has returned from his most recent Loser Leaves World Class match. But hey, it's been 2 months, so that's like a marathon for World Class.
Yeah.
So let's go to a show closing promo with Terry Gordy, who came all the way from Freebird Mountain to cut this promo.
We're here with Terry Gordy, who has seemed to come back for a big reason.
Well, that's right. I got one reason in mind, and one reason only, and that's Skandar Akbar and all his group. You know, I was sitting around home trying to take a vacation, just got back from Japan, trying to relax a little bit, and what do I have? I have people coming up to me saying, hey, I heard Akbar and Khan run you out of Texas. Well, let me tell you something, Bill Mercer, that don't nobody run me nowhere. When somebody come up to me and said that, I ran all the way back to Texas here just so I could get a piece of the action, and I want some of Killer Khan. Akbar, you remind me of a fly flying around. All I have to do is take a fly swat to you, boy, and I don't want nobody standing in my way because I don't care about no Von Erichs. I don't care about nobody here. All I want is you, Khan. You bring yourself
World Class Championship Wrestling again next week. We'll see you.
All right. So, man, I miss Terry Gordy. He's been gone for so long. But we knew it was happening for a number of reasons, not the least of which is, I noted seeing a clip of one of their matches on Twitter a few months ago and being like, holy fuck, this is a fucking meat match right here.
Yeah, that should be fun at least.
Yep. And so Terry Gordy returns on both World Class and Smoky Mountain this week, which further proves our temporal ham radio is a real thing.
Yeah. Yay.
Yeah. And it's like the fans, like, they don't really know how to react, but Gordy's essentially a babyface at this point.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, it might be like a maybe face turn where it's like, well, he's a baby face because of who he's wrestling. So I guess we'll see what happens after this Killer Khan feud plays itself out.
Indeed.
But that's World Class, a show that I forced us to talk about for longer than the 2 minutes that Trey thought we'd be talking about it for. Overall, I would say it was, in the pantheon of recap shows, it was certainly an all right recap show.
It was certainly a recap show.
Yeah. And part of the issue too is that we, like, because we mentioned, we don't get the local promos. We don't have the commercials. So, I mean, without going and looking up the spoiler-free match listings on Cage Match, we couldn't tell you what the matches were for the Thanksgiving Star Wars. We could take a very good, educated guess, but, that's about it.
Yeah.
Now, they don't mention it, but next week we have a fucking Lulu. Ric Flair is going to defend the world title against Chris Adams right here on television.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
Indeed. So the Thanksgiving Star Wars is coming up, and as you all know, Trey and I like to do, the big shows when we can, especially if we can fit them in to the schedule of the shows. So I went ahead and looked ahead. Now, December 1st and 8th, 1984, they're playing, the World Class plays the 2 Star Wars shows. December 15th is a 1984 year in review, and then December 22nd and 29th are normal episodes. So, thanks to Trey, we put together the holiday schedule for this show that leads.
Why is this thanks to me?
Well, because you agreed to it. You have the ability to say no when I say, hey, why don't we do this? So we've come up with a schedule where finally, after 8 months, we're going to catch up to the right date because thanks to World Class doing a year in review show on December 16th, we're going to catch up. So next week, we're doing the November 24th shows. The week after, December 9th, we're going to do the December 1st Mid-South and the Thanksgiving Star Wars show, which when you enforce the Buck Zumhoff rule, that show's only an hour and 18 minutes. So, it's a show and a half for World Class, but I think it's all wrestling. So, it's not going to sit here and talk about 50 promo segments. Famous last words. And then December 16th, we'll do the December 8th and 15th Mid-South shows. And at that point, we'll be back to normal. Now, we talked about the Smoky Mountain show. I do have to go figure that out because we want to do Night of the Legends. And we'll see how that goes. We might have to bring back the Friday Night Spot show. But we'll see. Because isn't that show like 4 hours long? Or am I misremembering that?
I don't know just offhand. I'll check when we get off air here and get back with you.
Sounds good. And then December 23rd and 30th is only going to be the week of December 23rd and 30th right now are only going to be Mid-South and World Class because TNA has 2 weeks off and, no Smoky Mountain shows for Christmas and New Year's. And then January 6th, we'll be back to normal. So yeah. So that's Mid-South and World Class. Now, I'm chuckling, and I kind of chuckled during the show in case anyone's curious as to why. F4WOnline.com reports that Tony Chimmel is no longer working for AEW.
I just saw that.
Now, in case you're like me and your head turned all the way around during that, Tony Chimmel apparently was working for AEW as a producer for almost 3 years.
Oh.
But, yeah.
Yeah, for some reason, I do not have the Night of the Legends on here. I know I have the DVD, and I probably need to rip it. I do have the Knox County Knockout from the next night.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, isn't the next night Fire on the Mountain in Johnson
I
City?
thought so. But, well, maybe it's the same.
No, because Night of the Legends is in Knoxville.
What?
So that wouldn't be.
This is Barberville. It's got to be the same weekend, though, right? I think it's partial. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll figure it out. We will definitely be doing Night of the Legends somehow. One other piece of New Japan news. They have announced another match for Wrestle Kingdom. It is going to be the annual Ranbo, but it's not going to be the traditional Ranbo. It's going to be a Ranbo for the never open weight 6-man tag titles. Yo, Master Wato, and Toru Yano, excuse me, defending in a multi-team Rambo. And I don't know. And once one member of a team is eliminated, the whole team is out. Now, by calling it a Rambo and not a gauntlet match, it sounds like a Rambo. It's going to be Royal Rumble rules just with pinfalls and submissions or over-the-top rope eliminations. And for me, my biggest gripe about the Rambo is how disorganized it gets at times. This is a match that's going to be fun to see all the different teams that come out and, see what happens. It's not going to be fun to try to keep track of, I think, as a reporter of what happens.
Are you going to report what happens?
I may have to default to you for doing that one. By the way, AEW is going to announce the whatchamacallit, the Continental Classic in 35 minutes from when we're talking right now.
Great.
Yep. And I'm just scanning today's daily update in the Observer to see if there's, or on the Observer website, to see if there's anything worth mentioning. I guess happy birthday to Velvet McIntyre, Beth Phoenix, and Anthony Ogogo. And I guess Sting's son had his first singles match over the weekend. And apparently he is a very attractive man.
Yeah, handsome lad.
Yes. I saw pictures of him that my friend took, and I thought he kind of looked like Dexter Loomis without the mustache. So like Samuel Shaw in TNA. Which might be the worst compliment he's ever gotten.
And with compliments like that, who needs insults?
Exactly. All right. So I know we only went an hour 26 minutes, but I think we can wrap things up. What do you think?
Yeah.
I got to let Trae go so he can go be enthused by the greatness that is tomorrow's TNA show. But that's going to do it for this week. I hope you all enjoyed the show. Thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you again in 7 days.
Bye.